Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
So when is the Parna time, Lavanya? We didn't check actually. Parna time at what time?
Even I didn't check.
Then check once.
Six 12 to 8:36.
Yeah, 8:36. Okay. Thank you. మన అదే హ్యాబిట్స్ క్యాలెండర్లు ఉందన్నా ఇస్కాన్ హ్యాబిట్స్ క్యాలెండర్ దాంట్లో ఉందన్నా.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Meanwhile, you can have some prasadam and come for some.
Yeah.
We had already. We had
Okay.
broke first. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna
Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Rama
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare
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 Krishna,
Rama
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna
Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Ram Ram.
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Teja Mataji, Deepa Mataji, Sandhya Mataji, Lavanya, Samit Mataji, Raju Prabhu. Tanda Pranam, Sal Glory Shishila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Actually, I am in my hometown, my parents' home. Suddenly, power also gone. Let me see, I mean, when it comes. Meanwhile, I mean, who are on the computer, laptop? Raju Prabhu, Deepa Mata.
Yes, Prabhuji, I am on laptop.
Okay, I'll do Mangala Charana and then I'll make you host, Mataji, in case my computer battery also got down and power also not there right now. So I make you host after Mangala Charana, okay?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Acharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktaranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mugankarati Vachalam Bangam Bangai Begrim Yakripatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Parvananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Vishwam Om Apavitra Pavitra Sarvavasangaprativa Yasmaret Pandari Pakshan Abhyabhyantaram Suchihi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu. Today we are going to complete this CC Madhya 8th chapter, Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 8th chapter, conversations, talks between Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya. 301 verses there. We are at 292. So we'll recite that prayer. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Please repeat.
Jaya Sri Chaitanya
Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya
Jaya Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya
Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya
Jaya
Gaura
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta
Vrinda.
2 times Hare Krishna. Hare, let us do together, okay? 2 times Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram Hare Ram Ram
Ram
Ram
Ram
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram
Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Thank you very much. So I'm making you host, Mataji. Make host. I'll be there. I'll be here. I'll be reading and chanting with all of him. That Bhakti Shastri Sloka's document I'm gonna send it with you, Mataji. Okay, so today I think they have exam this week. Samyukta Mata, you can put the message in your group so that
Yes,
they can time. Okay, so you start reading. I'll share that Bhakti Shastri.
Yes, Erupadasaratri Ramananda Sange Sukhe Gonaila Prabhu Krishna Katharange. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. For 10 nights, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai spent a happy time discussing the pastimes of Krishna. निगूढ़ व्रजेर रस लीलार विचारा अनेका कहिला तारा ना पाइला पारा. Translation: The conversations between Ramananda Rai and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu contain the most confidential subject matters touching the conjugal love between Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, Rajbhumi. Although they talked at great length about these pastimes, they could not reach the limit of discussion. Tamakancha Rupa Sona Ratna Chintamani Keha Yadi Kahan Pota Paya Eka Khani. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Actually, these conversations are like a great mine where from a single place one can extract all kinds of metals, copper, bell metal, silver and gold, and also touchstone, the basis of all metals. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur gives the following summary of the conversations between Ramananda Rai and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ramananda Rai replied to 5 questions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and these questions and their replies are recorded in verses 57 to 67. The first answer is compared to copper, the second to a better metal, bell metal, the third to a still better metal, silver, and the fourth to the best metal of all, gold. But the fifth answer is compared to the most valuable gem, touchstone, because it deals with unalloyed devotion, the ultimate goal of devotional life, and illuminates the preceding 4 subordinate answers. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur points out that in Rajbhumi there is the Yamuna river with its sandy banks. There are Kadamba trees, cows, Krishna's sticks, with which he herds cows, and Krishna's flute. All of these belong to Shantarasa, the mellows of neutrality in devotional service. There are also the direct servants of Krishna, such as Chitraka, Patraka, and Raktaka, and these are the embodiments of service in the mellow of servitude. There are also friends like Sridama and Sudama who embody service in fraternity. Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda are the embodiments of parental love. Above all of these are Srimati Radharani and her assistants, the Gopis, Lalita, Vishakha, and others who embody conjugal love. In this way, all 5 mellows, Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, exist eternally in Rajbhumi. They are also compared respectively to copper, bell metal, silver, gold, and touchstone, the basis of all metals. Srila Kaviraj Goswami therefore refers to a mine eternally existing in Vrindavana, Rajbhumi. Hare Krishna.
It's nice analogy.
Yes, Mata. Samyukta Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
ग्रामे उताहैते सेहा उत्तमावस्तुपाया ऐचे प्रसन्नोत्तर कैला प्रभु राम राया. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya work like miners, excavating all kinds of valuable metals, each one better than the other. Their questions and answers are exactly like that. Aradi Naraya Pashe Vidhayama Gila Vidhayera Kale Tanre Yei Agnadila. Translation: The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begged Ramananda Raya to give him permission to leave, and at the time of farewell, the Lord gave him the following orders. Vishaya chadiya tumi yaha nila chale ami tirtha kari tanha asiba alpa kale. Translation: Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, give up all material engagements and come to Jagannath Puri. I will return there very soon after finishing my tour and pilgrimage.
Sandhya
Shall
Mataji.
we? Okay, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Sandhya Mataji. Lavanya Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Text 298. दुई जाने नीला चेले राही बाए का संगे Sukha guna bai kala Krishna ka tarange. Translation. The two of us shall remain together at Jagannath Puri and happily pass our time discussing Krishna. Text 299. Eta bali Ramanande kariyalingana tanre gare pataya karila shayana. Translation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then embraced Sri Ramananda Raya, and after sending him back to his home, the Lord took rest. Can I read one more, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Text 300. Prata kale uti Prabhu deki Hanumana Tanre namaskare Prabhu dakshine karila prayana. Translation. After rising from bed in the next morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the local temple where there was a deity of Hanuman. After offering him obeisances, the Lord departed for South India. Purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In almost all the cities and towns of India, there are temples of Hanumanji, the eternal servant of Sri Lord Ramachandra. There is even a temple of Hanuman near Govindji temple in Vrindavana. Formerly, this temple was in front of the Gopalji temple, but the Gopalji deity went to Orissa to remain as Sakshi Gopala. Being the eternal servant of Lord Ramachandra, Hanumanji has been respectably worshipped for many hundreds and thousands of years. Here, even Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu set the example in showing how one should offer respect to Hanumanji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Vani Mataji. Sandhya Mataji.
హరే కృష్ణ.
Vani Mataji. ఒక్క నిమిషం.
కొంచెం చెప్పండి, సంధ్యా మాతాజీ తర్వాత తీసుకుంటాం మాతాజీ.
Sandhya Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Please read.
विद्यापुरे नानामता लोकमैसे याता प्रभु दर्शने वैष्णवा हल्लाचारी निज माता. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All the residents of Vidyanagara were of different faiths, but after seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they abandoned their own faiths and became Vaishnavas. Ramananda Haila Prabhu Ravira Hevi Bhala Prabhu Radhyane Rahe Vishaya Chadiya Sakala. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. When Ramananda Raya began to feel separation from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was overwhelmed. Meditating on the Lord, he gave up all his material business. Sankshepe kahi nun Ramanande Ramilana Vistari Vanita Nare Sahasravadana. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I have briefly described the meeting between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya. No one can actually describe this meeting exhaustively. It is even impossible for Lord Shesha Naga, who has thousands of hoods.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Vani Mataji.
Yes, మాతాజీ. సహజ చైతన్య చరిత గహన గుద పారా రామానంద చైత్ర రాహే కంద prachura. Translation. The activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are like condensed milk, and the activities of Ramananda Raya are like large quantities of sugar candy. Radha Krishna Leela Tate Kari Purami. I'll just repeat it. Radha Krishna Leela Tate Kari Puramilana Bhagyavana Yehi Se Kare Asavadana. Translation. Their meeting is exactly like a mixture of condensed milk and sugar candy. When they talk of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, camphor is added. One who tastes this combined preparation is most fortunate. Ipuda Mataji.
Mataji.
Yei iha eka para piya karna advare tara karna lobe iha chadite na pare. Translation. This wonderful preparation has to be taken orally. If one takes it, he becomes greedy to relish it even further.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Lalitman Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. Rasa tatpadhyanaaya iharashravane prema bhakti haya radha niracharane. Translation. By hearing the talks between Raman and Raya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one becomes enlightened with the transcendental knowledge of the middles of Radha and Krishna's pastime. Thus, one can develop unalloyed love for the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Chaitanyera gudha tattva janiya harite Vishwasakarishu na tarka nakariha chitte. Translation. The author requests every reader to hear these talks with faith and without argument. By studying them in this way, one will be able to understand the confidential truth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Raju Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Raju.
अलौकिक लीलाए पारामा निगुदा विश्वासे पाए तारके हाया बाहोदूरा. Translation. This part of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes is most confidential. One can derive benefit quickly only by faith. Otherwise, by arguing, one will always remain far away. Sri Chaitanya Advaitachara na yanhara sarvasva tandre milehi dana. He who has accepted as everything the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Prabhu can attain this transcendental treasure. Purport. Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura says that Krishna is obtainable for the faithful, but for those who are accustomed to argue, Krishna is far, far away. Similarly, these talks between Ramananda Raya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can be understood by person who has firm faith. Those who are not in the disciplic succession, the Asauta Panthas cannot have faith in these talks. They are always doubting and engaging in the mental concoctions. These talks cannot be understood by such whimsical people. Transcendental topics remain far, far away from those engaged in the mundane argument. In this regard, the Vedic mantras in the Katha Upanishad 1.2.9 state that Naisha Tarkena Matir Apaneya Proktenyava Inavya Sugnanya Preshta. According to the Mundaka Upanishad 3.2.3, such as one Mataji.
Prabhuji, Giraj Prabhu Kivana?
Yeah, even Mataji.
Giraj Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
ఇక్కడ నుంచి చదవగలరా?
Yeah, చేస్తాను. దానికంటే ముందు ట్రాన్స్జెండల్ ట్రాన్స్జెండల్ టాపిక్స్. Yeah, transcendental topics remain purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Transcendental topics. Sure, Suman Prabhu. Thank you for joining. Transcendental topics remain far, far away from those engaged in mundane arguments. In this regard, the Vedic mantras in the Kathopanishad 1.2.9 state, Naishatarkena Matir Apaneya. I think somebody not mute. Anyway, 129 Kathopanishad talks about this. Naishatarkena Matir Apaneya Proktanyenaiva Sujananya Sujnanaya Presta. According to the Mundak Upanishad 3.2.3, Nayamatma Pravachena Labhyo Namedhaya na Bahuna Shrutena Yam Evaisha Vrunute Tena Labhyas Tasyaishatma Vivrunute Tanum Swam. And according to the Brahma Sutra 2.1.11, Tarka Pratishthanat. All the Vedic literatures declare that transcendental subjects cannot be understood simply by argument or logic. Spiritual matters are far above experimental knowledge. Very important point. Spiritual matters are far above experimental knowledge. Only Krishna's mercy can one who is interested in transcendental loving affairs understand them. Without Krishna's mercy, we won't be able to understand single word. Of course, Guru, in the form of Guru also. If one tries to understand these transcendental topics simply by using one's material brain substance, the attempt will be futile. Whether one is a Prakruta Sahajya or a mundane opportunist or scholar, one's labor to understand these topics by mundane means will ultimately be frustrated. One, therefore, has to give up all mundane attempts and try to become a pure devotee of Lord Vishnu. When a devotee follows the regulatory principles, the truth of these talks will be revealed to him. This is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.234. अथ श्रीकृष्ण नामादि न भवेत् ग्राह्यमिन्द्रियै सेवन्मुखे हि जिह्वादौ स्वयं एव स्फुरत्यदः. One cannot understand the Lord's holy name, pastimes, form, qualities, or entourage with one's blunt material senses. However, when the senses are purified by the constant rendering of service, the spiritual truth of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna is revealed, as confirmed in Mundaka Upanishad. Yam evaisha vrunute tena labhyas. Only one who is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead can understand the transcendental features of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thank you, Mataji.
Anybody else left?
Yeah, Mali. Yeah, sir. Any verse in the Mataji?
13th.
Okay.
3. Okay. Ramananda Rai Mora Koti Namaskara Yanra Mukhe Kaila Prabhu Rasira Vistara. Translation: I offer 10 million obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Ramananda Rai because from his mouth much spiritual information has been expanded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Damodara Swarupera Kadachanusare Ramananda Milana Leela Karila Prachare. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I have tried to preach the pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's meeting with Ramananda Rai in accordance with the notebooks of Sri Swarup Damodar. Purport. At the end of every chapter, the author admits the value of the disciplic succession. He never claims to have written this transcendental literature by carrying out research work. He simply admits his indebtedness to the notes taken by Swarup Damodar, Raghunath Das Goswami, and other authoritative persons. This is the way of writing transcendental literatures which are never meant for so-called scholars and research workers. The process is Mahajanoyena Gatah Sapantha. One has to strictly follow great personalities and acharyas. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. One who has the favor of the acharya knows everything. This statement made by Kaviraj Goswami is very valuable for all pure devotees. Sometimes the Prakrita Sahajiyas claim that they have heard the truth from their guru, but one cannot have transcendental knowledge simply by hearing from a guru who is not bona fide. The guru must be bona fide and he must have heard from his own bona fide guru. Only then will this message be accepted as bona fide. Lord Krishna confirms this in Bhagavad Gita 4.1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavanaham avyayam vivasvan manave praha manur ikshvakave praveet. The Supreme Lord said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivaswan, and Vivaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. In this way, the message is transmitted in the bona fide spiritual disciplic succession from bona fide spiritual master to bona fide student. Srila Kaviraj Goswami, therefore, as usual, concludes this chapter by reasserting his faith in the lotus feet of the six Goswamis. Thus, he is able to set forth this transcendental literature, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Samyukta Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Sri Rupa Raghunatha Padeyara Asha Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. Translation. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunatha, always desiring their mercy, I Krishna Dasa narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purports of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 8th chapter, describing the talks between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
This is one of the big chapter.
Yes, Prabhuji. What do we do
So
next?
so many nice things discussed in between both of them. Actually, confidential truths. Oksari Mataji,
Yes.
just translation చూపారు లాస్ట్ let us read one more time that one last కిలని direct control end and control end
Control end.
control plus end, it will go directly.
ఎక్కడి నుంచి చదువుతావు?
ఒక్క నిమిషం ఒక్కసారి ఆగనమాట ఇంకొకసారి కిందికి రండి. Two important verses, let us read again. Translation only. 308 and 309. Anybody likes to read?
I'll read, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please, Mata. Please go ahead. 308, 309.
Text 308. The author requests every reader to hear these talks with faith and without argument. By studying them in this way, one will be able to understand the confidential truth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 309. This part of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes is most confidential. One can derive benefit quickly only by faith. Otherwise, by arguing, one will always remain far away.
So only faith, 2 times repeated in this. Faith, Shraddha. So these two, actually, all the Vedic conclusions and various different verses between both of them discussed, especially Ramananda only. He shared from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam in their conversations. This is one of the very, very important chapter, and we can understand everything actually. All the ultimate goal of pure devotional life. Madhurya Bhava, right? Gopis, that is the topmost. So between those discussions, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, some Puranas, some various other scriptures from Padma Purana and different scriptural references, they quoted and discussed. It's an important chapter and we can repeat it. Anyway, we come back to reading guides, Subodhini guide, and can continue. So how much time left, Mataji? We can start, Prabhupada Lilamrita. Let us have some gap and then we'll come back to Bhagavatam, that Subodhini review, and this one CC Madhya 8 review later. Once read the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. So another 15-16 minutes can do that. Prabhupada Lilamrita open.
ఏ చాప్టర్ ప్రభుజీ?
జస్ట్ ఓపెన్ చేయండి ఫస్ట్ వాళ్ళే ఒకసారి చూడాలి అది. Ninth or 10th, let me see. Volume 1, yeah. అదే ఝాన్సీ ద లీగ్ ఆఫ్ ద డివోటీస్ అయిపోయింది.
It's 8th
New
chapter,
Delhi.
New Delhi, a crying alone in the world.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Chapter 8 will read. Yes, I mean, that's the thing. Yeah. CC Madhya 8 and this is 8. And Bhagavatam only some 6th or 7th after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Submit now the next which are starting.
Yes, Prabhu.
ఒకసారి అందరం ఒక్కొక్కసారి చదువుదానికి ఉంటుంది టైం.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Chapter 8, New Delhi, Crying Alone in the Wilderness. I have got the clue of going back to Godhead just after leaving my present material body, and in order to take along with me all my contemporary men and women of the world, I have started my paper Back to Godhead as one of the means to the way. Please don't think of me as something wonderful or a madman when I say that I shall go back to Godhead. After leaving my present material body, it is quite possible for everyone and all of us. From a letter to India's President, Mr. Rajendra Prasad. When Abhay arrived in Mathura, he sought out Keshava Maharaja, who was now establishing his matha, and presented him with the deity of Lord Chaitanya. At Keshava Maharaja's request, Abhay agreed to stay there and edit the Gaudiya Patrika. Abhay was given a room, and for the first time, aside from brief visit, he lived in mud with his god brothers. As a senior experienced devotee, Abhay held classes and instructed the brahmacharis who were young, uneducated, and even illiterate in the disciplines of devotional service and the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. Shall I continue, Mataji? Or?
Sanjay Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Sanjay Mataji. Two paragraphs చదవండి.
Yes, Mataji. He had only recently begun these duties when Bhakti Saranga Goswami, another sannyasi godbrother, asked Bhaktivedanta Prabhu to assist him in New Delhi at his ashrama, Gaudiya Sangha. Both Keshava Maharaj and Bhakti Saranga Goswami recognized Abhay as an accomplished writer and editor and wanted to work with him. It was accepted amongst Srila Bhakti Siddhanta's disciples that A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhu was an expert preacher and writer, whether in English, Hindi, or Bengali. Now Keshava Maharaja wanted Abhay to stay and work on the Gaudiya Patrika, while Bhakti Saranga Maharaja, who had to go to Bengal, was requesting him to come to Delhi to produce the harmonist known in Hindi as Sajjana Toshani. Abhay was agreeable to Bhakti Saranga Goswami's proposition, and Keshava Maharaja consented on the condition that Abhay also continued to edit the Gaudiya Patrika, at least by mail. As an editor, Abhay was in his element, and he was happy to preach in cooperation with his godbrothers. Although Abhay did not consider himself an accomplished scholar or author, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati had been pleased by his writing and encouraged him to continue. And now the senior sannyasis of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati were turning to him for help. They were practically competing to see who would get the benefit of his services. Perhaps Abhay thought this should be his life's work, serving humbly under the direction of his godbrothers.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Lavanya Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. His ejection from Jhansi had been a kind of setback. At least it had left him temporarily unsure of how Krishna wanted to use him. But now his godbrothers seemed to be answering the questions. Living and working in an ashrama with brahmacharis and sannyasis was a way of life Abhay had once considered too austere. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati had remarked, "Better he live outside your company." But now he would either have to struggle alone with nothing, or stay within the shelter of the friendly portion of the Gaudiya Math. Perhaps he could carry out his desire to preach Krishna consciousness within the ashramas of his godbrothers. Since he would soon be the editor of Sajjana Toshni, he began thinking of how to expand it. It was a scholarly Vaishnava journal, but cheaply produced and with a very limited circulation. He envisioned it surpassing India's slick illustrated weekly.
It should be more popular than Time or Life magazines of America. And why not? Krishna was no poor man. Abhay thought of how he could start an ambitious subscription program by approaching the many prominent and wealthy men of New Delhi. Then, by Krishna's grace, he would soon be able to print color photos and use high quality paper for Sajjana Toshni. He would give it is the best effort depending on Krishna. And while soliciting subscribers, he could take his book manuscript and try to get them published. Dr. Alagappa in South India had wanted to publish his Gitopanishad. No doubt there were many men like him, or perhaps Bhaktisaranga Goswami Maharaj would be willing to publish Abhay's works with funds from the Gaudiya Sangha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Vani Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Abhay soon received a letter from Bhaktisaranga Goswami's assistant, carefully instructing him how to travel to Delhi at the least expense. He was to travel by train, 3rd class to Delhi, and from there take a tanga. Since tangas at the station gate charged too much, Abhay should first walk about 100 meters towards the right-hand side of the station, where he would find a cheaper one. Were he to ride alone, he should pay no more than 1 rupees and 12 annas, but he should try to share the tanga with another passenger. That would be cheaper. Keeping the crematorium to your left-hand side, the assistant instructed him, if you look towards the right, then you will be able to see our red flag and the signboard written in Hindi and English. When you reach here, we will pay for the tanga. At the Gaudiya Sangha, Abhay found a disconcerting state of affairs. In the absence of their guru, Bhaktisaranga Goswami, the brahmacharis were quarreling and shrinking their duties. And as a result, the preaching and donation gathering were being neglected. Cleanliness, deity worship, cooking, and even peace amongst the devotees were below standard. And like most of the mathas of his godbrothers, the Gaudiya Sangha was poor. Abhay had to come thinking he would be editing a magazine, but he found himself contending with a group of quarreling neophyte devotees. He learned that the brahmachari responsible for giving public lectures had not done any preaching. The devotees who had previously been holding kirtanas in people's homes were now negligent, and the errand boy refused to run because he had lost his bicycle. Then a brahmachari handed Abhay a letter from Bhaktisaranga Goswami requesting him to take up the general management of the matha. Ante na Mataji, next.
Ante Mataji, ante.
Okay, thank you.
Raju Prabhu. Okay. Do you want to read, Mataji?
No, Mataji.
Okay. Laltman Prabhu.
Okay, Mataji, I'm doing. Inspire everyone to be engaged in service. Otherwise, I do not know how we are going to print the English monthly magazine. Since we don't have much money in the fund, and since the brahmacharis are quite careless, Akinchan Maharaj wrote that he is unable to take the responsibility of the management. It will be very nice if you could keep your eyes on these affairs. And Abhay found other obstacles in trying to produce Sajjana Toshni. No typewriter and bad relations with the printer. In a few days, Abhay received another letter from Bhaktisaranga Goswami telling him what articles to print, cautioning him not to change essential elements in the magazine, and reminding him of his special duty. I have asked Akinchan Maharaj to hand over the keys of my room to you so that you may use my room only for your office work. As you are there, you should try to maintain peace in the ashram for giving necessary instructions to one and all. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay. Giraj Prabhu. Okay, Chandramouli Prabhu. Chandramali Prabhu?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Abhi saw that he could do no editorial work until the laxity and particularly in the ashram stopping. But when he tried to help as Bhakti Saranga Goswami directed, some of them devotees rebelled and even wrote to their spiritual master complaining. It was against many obstacles that happened at the publisher's deadline for the August 1955 issue of Sajjana Goswami. Yet owing to the printer's delay, the magazine did not come out until September. When at the last the first copies were delivered, Abhay sent several to Bhakti Saranga Goswami in Calcutta asking for his response. Abhay never heard from his godbrother directly, but received further instruction from Bhakti Saranga Goswami's secretary, Ramananda, who pointed out various mistakes in the issue, without mentioning whether Bhakti Saranga had been pleased with it. The rest were mostly technical matters of style. Abhay had done the contents page in a different way and had not printed Bhakti Saranga Goswami's name exactly as he had wanted it on all his articles. Regarding Abhay's request for a typewriter, Ramananda wrote that the matters are distinctly written. There is no necessity of them being given to the printer in typewriting. Hare Krishna.
Tapan Prabhu, are you there? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Can you read Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Abhay wrote to Bhakti Saranga Goswami requesting him to return to Delhi and establish a peaceful atmosphere in the Madhya. Regarding Sajjana Tosani, Bhakti Saranga Goswami has suggested that the paper for the cover be improved and that the whole magazine be done on nicer paper by an up-to-date press. And Abhay agreed, but improvements depended on money. The suggestion that paper may be printed from Calcutta is all right. But my suggestion is that either in Calcutta or in Delhi, we must have our own press with good equipments so that we may be able to broadcast the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in all important languages, especially Hindi and in English. Hindi is meant for all India propaganda, while English is meant for worldwide propaganda. Abhay further reported that since it was almost impossible to expect a printer to work speedily from handwritten manuscripts, he had already rented a typewriter. He also mentioned his ideas for increasing the number of subscribers. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Giraj Prabhu, I think we can conclude the reading call here.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So, yeah, I think this section ended here. There's a new section.
Yeah, అది ఒకటి మన గ్రూప్ లో పెడతారా మనది?
Prabhuji.
You can continue tomorrow.
Yeah. And yeah, మీరు తీసుకుంటారా?
Yeah.
For the shlokas, you can take it.
Yes.
Thank you all very much for reading Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter and Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. Actually, today, whose appearance?
Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. I'm just referring some of the songs. In KK songs, these many songs he has written in various books. See, the alphabetical order. All of his mellows, his deep realizations in these songs. We will read one song at the end, okay? So let us recite Bhakti Shastri with us. Mother is, Bhakti Shastri students, please continue your recitations. Yeah, chant Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji. Network
Pettara,
issue. Pettan Prabhuji.
Okay, it's okay. Whoever can be able to make it, they can join.
Yes, Prabhuji. वाचो वेगं मनसा क्रोधवेगं जिह्वा वेगमुदरोपस्थवेगम् एतान् वेगान्यो विषहेदधीरा सर्वाम् अपि मां पृथिवीं सशिष्यात्. Translation: a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Text 2. अत्याहार प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रह जनसंगश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति. Translation: one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and being greedy for mundane achievements. Text 3. उत्साहा निश्चया धैर्यात् तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तनात् संगत्यागात् सतो वृत्ते षड्भिर्भक्ति प्रसिद्ध्यति. Translation: there are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service: being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to script regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, abandoning the association of non-devotees, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति गुह्यमाख्याति पृच्छति भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम्. Translation: offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasada, and offering prasada are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another.
When I put that one, you need to tell Mataji.
Okay, Prabhuji.
You have to memorize. Chant.
Ishopanishad invocation. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Translation: the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Mantra 1. ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वं यत्किञ्च जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीता मा गृह्णा कस्य स्विद्धनम्. Translation: everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things knowing well to whom they belong. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mother. Hare Krishna. Sandhya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Text 1. वाचो वेगं मनसा क्रोधवेगं जिह्वा वेगम् उदरोपस्थवेगम् एतान् वेगान्यो विषहेत धीरा सर्वामपि मां पृथ्वीं सशिष्यात्. Translation: a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Text 2. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagrahah janasangascha laulyam cha shadbhir bhaktir vinashyati. Translation: one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scripture rules and regulation only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly minded person who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and being greedy for mundane achievements. Utsaha nischaya dhairyat tatat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vritte shadbhir bhakti prasidhyati. Translation: there are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service: being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulated principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Text 4. ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति गुह्यमाख्याति पृच्छति भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम्. Translation: offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad and offering prasad are 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. Ishopanishad invocation prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. Translation: the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Upanishad text 1. Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magridaha kasya svigdhanam. Translation: everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mother, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Shall I do, Prabhu?
Yeah, Chain, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, nectar of instruction, Sloka. Vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam juha vegam udarupastha vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira sarvamapi mam prativim sashishyat. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Mantra 2. Atyahara prayashascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyamscha shadbhir bhaktir vinashyati. Translation: one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. 1. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. 2. Over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. Or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5th, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness.
and the 6 being greedy for mundane achievements. Shloka 3. Utsahan nishayat dhairyat tattat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato ritte shadbhir bhakti prasidhyati. Translation. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. Number 1, being enthusiastic. 2, endeavoring with confidence. 3, being patient. 4, acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5th, abandoning the association of non-devotees and following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Shloka 4. Dadati pratigrihnati guhyamakhyati pruchati bhunkte bhojayate chaiva shadvidam priti lakshanam. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasada and offering prasada are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. Ishopanishad invocation mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Translation. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Ishopanishad Mantra 1. Ishavashamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena taktena bunjita magrida kasya svidhanam. Translation. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself who are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things knowing well to whom they belong. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Next ever, yes, sir.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, can I do?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, first sloka. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jiva vegam udaro pastha vegam etan vetan yo visaheta dhira sarvam api mam pudrisya shishya. Translation. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demand, the actions of anger and the urges of tongue, belly and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Sloka 2. Atyahara payasascha pajalpo niyamagraha janasangasya laulyancha shadbid bhakti vinashyati. Translation. One's devotion service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring of mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessary about mundane of subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules of regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5. Association of the worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6. Being greedy for mundane achievements. Sloka number 3. Utsahan nichayat dhairyat tattat karma pravartanat sangatyago sato rutto sadvid bhakti prasiddhati. Translation. There are 6 principles of favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Endeavoring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to the regulative principle such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting and remembering Krishna. 5. Abandoning the association of non-devotees. 6. Following in the footsteps of previous Vacharyas. These 6 principles are undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotion service. Sloka number 4. Dadati pratigahanti guhyam akyata prachyati bunte bojete cheva sadvidham priti lakshanam. Translation: offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentiality, accepting the prasada and offering prasada are 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee to another. Ishopanishad invocation sloka. Om Purnamada Purnamidham Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnat Ivavasistate Purnam Ivavasistate. Translation: the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as phenomenal word, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced by the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is complete whole, even though so many complete units emanates from him, he remains complete balance. Sloka number 1, Ishopanishad. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena taktena bunjita magrada kasya svidanam. Translation: everything animates or inanimates within the universe of is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside for his quota, and one should not accept other things knowing well to whom they belong. Hare Krishna Prabhupada.
Thank you, Srinivas. Next year.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Can I read Prabhuji?
Yeah, మీరు చేస్తున్నారా మాతాజీ భక్తి శాస్త్రి?
చేస్తున్నాను ప్రభుజీ. ఈ బ్యాచ్ లోనే ఉన్నాను నేను.
వావ్, అమేజింగ్. రిచైన్.
Can I read Prabhuji?
Yeah, do it.
వాచో వేగం మనసా క్రోధ వేగం జిహ్వా వేగం ఉదరోపాస్త వేగం ఏతాన్ వేగాన్ యో విషహేత ధీరః సర్వం అపి మాం పృథ్వీం సశిష్యత్. Translation: a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Sloka number 2. Atyahara prayachacha prajalpo nemagraha janasangancha laulyancha sadbhir bhaktir vinashyati. Translation: one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the spiritual rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, are rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and being greedy for mundane achievements. Sloka number 3. Utsahan nichaya dhairyat tatat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vritta sadbhir bhakti prasidhyati. Translation: there are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. First one, being enthusiastic. Second, endeavoring with confidence. 3, being patient. 4, acting according to regulated principles such as Ravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5th one, abandoning the association of non-devotees. And 6th one, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Dadati pratigrahnati uhyam akyati prachati Bhunte bhojayante chaiva sadvidam priti lakshanam. Translation: offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasada, and offering prasada are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. Ishopanishad invocation mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purna Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Translation: the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Ishopanishad mantra. Sloka 1. ईशावश्यम इदं सर्वं यत्किंच जगत्यं जगत् तेना त्यक्तेन भुञ्जिता मा गृधा काश्यस्विद्धानं धनम्. Translation: everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as whom they belong. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mother. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Can I start?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jivva vegam udropastha vegam etana vegyana yogyashetu dhira sarvam api mam prathvim sashishyat. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demand, the action of the anger and the urge of the tongue, belly and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Text 2. Atyahara prayashascha prajalpo nemagraha jansanghascha lolyam cha sadvira bhakti vinashyati. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. 1. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. 2. Over-enduring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the spiritual rules and regulation only for the sake of following them, not for the sake of spiritual advancements, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5th, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6, being greedy for mundane achievement. Text 3. उत्साह निश्चय धैर्यात कर्म प्रवर्तनात् उत्साह निश्चय धैर्यात तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तनात् संज्ञा त्याग सतोव्रतः सद्भिर भक्ति प्रशद्यति. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of the pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Enduring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to regulated principles such as Sarvam Kirtanam Vishnam Sarvanam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. Abandoning the associate of non-devotees, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Text 4. Dadati pratigrahanati guhyam akhyati prashyati bhunkate bhojayate cheva sadvidam priti lakshanam. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidently, accepting prasada and offering prasad are the 6 systems of love shared by one devotee and another. invocation prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnudachyate Purnascha Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Visheshyate. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal word, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is a complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains a complete balance. Mantra 1. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena yaktena bunjeta ma kradhakasya savidhanam. Everything animates and inanimates within this is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself which are set aside for as his quota, and one should not accept other things knowing well to whom they belong. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much. Actually, some of the recitations, the words, we have to say clearly, Mataji. So,
Okay, Prabhuji.
your other classmate, Samyukta Mataji or Sandhya Mataji, they can send voice print. So they are regularly joining these calls and learning how to recite slokas. So
Okay.
once they send in your group, please recite, some words. We have to, in the exam also, that Prabhu will say that we need to pronounce properly. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So she will say, Sandhya Madhya or Samyukta Madhya, one of you, all of your 6 slokas, voice print, you can share in your group. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah, you can do anyway. Samyukta Madhya, Sandhya Madhya, you heard now?
Yes, Prabhuji. Okay, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Proper recitation is there, and they can hear, and they can go through it and correct themselves. Thank you. Prabhu Jain.
Yeah, only Sloka or translation also?
Mere unnara Bhakti Shastri?
No, I'm not doing the course.
Just Sloka recite. ఇంకెవరన్నా ఫస్ట్ ప్రిఫరెన్స్ ఇద్దాం ప్రభు. ఈయన ఇంకెవరు ఉన్నారు?
హరే కృష్ణ దండోత్ ప్రణామ్ ప్రభుజీ.
యా మీరు ఒక్కరే.
లక్ష్మీకాంత్.
మీరు చేయండి విత్ శ్లోక అండ్ ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ అండ్ దెన్ లేటర్ సపం ప్రభు మీరు చేయండి.
థ్యాంక్ యూ. హరే వాచో వేగం మనసా క్రోధ వేగం జిహ్వా వేగం ఉద్రో ప్రస్థ వేగం ఈతాన్ వేగం యో వసేస్త ధైర్య సర్వామపి మాం పృథ్వీ సస్యాత్.
Prithvim Prabhuji, Prithvim.
Prithvim sasyat. Translation: a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the action of anger and urge of the tongue, belly and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Atyahara prasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangha lolyam cha shadbir bhakti vinashyati. Translation: one devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in following 6 activities. 1. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. 2. Enduring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the spiritual rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5th, associating with a worldly minded person who are not interested in Krishna conscious. And 6th, being greedy for mundane achievements. Utsahana nischaya dhairyat tat karma pravartanat sangatyaga sato vritta sadbir bhakti prasidhyati. Translation: there are 6 principles favorable to the execution of a pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Enduring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vaishnav, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5th, adoring the association of non-devotees. And 6th, following the
Abandoning.
non-devotees and following in the footstep of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Dadati प्रतिग्रहणात् तदाति प्रतिग्रहणाति गुह्यम अख्याति पृच्छति भुङ्क्ते भोज्यन्ते चैव सद्विधं प्रीति लक्षणम्. Translation: offering gifts and charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, acquiring confidently, and accepting prasada and offering prasada are 6 symptoms of a love shared by one devotee and another. Ishopnishad invocation prayer. Om Purnamida Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Ivasasisyate. Translation: the personality of a Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all imitations from him, such as the phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped a complete whole. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself, because he is the complete whole. Even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Ishavashyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatya jagat tena taktena bhunjita ma grha kasya svidanam. Translation: everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only these things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you are getting there, Prabhu. So good, nicely practicing. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Sapan Prabhu.
Hare Vacho Vegam Manoda Vegam Jiva Vegam Udarupashta Vegam Etan Veganyo Vishaheta Dhira Sarvam Apimam Prithvim Sashishyat. अत्याहार प्रयासाश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रहा जनसङ्गश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्ति विनयति उत्साहान्निश्चयात् धैर्यात् तद्दत् कर्मा प्रवर्तनात् सङ्गत्यागात् चतो वृत्ते षड्भिर्भक्ति प्रसिद्ध्यति ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति गुह्यम् आख्याति पृच्छति भुङ्क्ते भोजनं प्रीतिलक्षणम् ॐ पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णम् उदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णम् एवावशिष्यते ईशावास्यम् इदं सर्वं च जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जिता मा कृता कश्चिद्धनम्.
That's it, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody likes to do? Yeah, I think everybody done. No? Lavanya, you do and I will do.
Yeah, nectar of instruction, first one. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jihva vegam udaropastha vegam etan veganyo vishaheta dhira sarvamapi mam prithvim sashisha. Nectar of instruction, second verse. अत्याहार प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रह जनसङ्गस्य लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति उत्साहान्निश्चयात् धैर्यात् तत्तत्कर्मा प्रवर्तनात् सङ्गत्यागासतो वृत्ते षड्भिर्भक्ति प्रसिद्ध्यति ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति गुह्यम् आख्यति पृच्छति भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम्. ईशोपनिषत्.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ishopanishad, invocation prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Ishopanishad, first mantra. ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वं यत्किञ्च जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीता मा गृधा कश्यस्विद्धनम्.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I'll do. Nectar of instruction number 1. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jihva vegam udaropastha vegam etan vegan yo vishayeta dhira sarvamapi mam pridhim sasishya अत्याहार प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रह जनसङ्गस्य लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति उत्साहानिश्चया धैर्यात् तत्तत्कर्म प्रवर्तनात् सङ्गत्याग सत्वृत्ते षड्भिर्भक्ति प्रसिद्ध्यति ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति गुह्यमाख्याति पृच्छति भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम्. Ishopanishad invocation prayer. Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. Ishopanishad first sloka. Ishavashamidam sarvam yatkinchat jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magrida kasya svidhanam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I want to sing one prayer for the pleasure of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Just to explain this one. Let me stop sharing. One song I want to sing for the pleasure of say the Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Today is appearance day. So beautiful prayers. I'm sharing here screen. Sharanagati is one of the wonderful book he has written. Let me share. So this is the thing. Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Sharanagati, especially sections. There are total how many sections there? 11 sections there in this book. Sharanagati prayers. So in that section 6, very beautiful. What exactly section 6? Section 6 talk about Bhakti Anukula Matra Karyera Svikara. Bhakti Anukula Matra Karyera. The favorable devotion. What we need to do in a pure devotional service. Favorable devotional service. We are learning, right? Nectar of instruction versus Bhakti Anukula Matra Karyera Svikara. Accepting favorable habits and practices towards devotional service in section 6. So the section 6 is here. Bhakti Anukula Matra Karyera Svikara. There are 4 songs. I wanted to sing number 1 song. So before that, anybody likes to read translation, please? Please read the translation. Anybody?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Translation. The activities favorable to your pure devotional service. I will feel fondness for those things in this world which are conductive to pure devotion, and with my senses, I will engage them in your service. I will carefully listen to all discussions concerning you, and satisfaction of my eyes will be to behold your divine abode. I will nourish my body with sacred remnants of your food and smell the sweet scent of tulsi leaves adorning those offerings. With my hands, I will always execute your service, and I will forever dwell at that place where you abide. I will employ my desires in your devotional service and show anger to those who are envious of you. In this way, may all my propensities and emotions obtain dignity and glory by being favorable to you. I will consider as favorable to your devotional service anything I do which is favorable to your devotee. Bhakti Vinoda knows neither religion nor irreligion. He simply prays that all his activities be conducive for pure devotion to you. Hare Krishna.
Good. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Quickly, just Hare. Tuva bhakti anukula je je karya hoy. Tuva bhakti anukula je je karya hoy. Paramajata netaha koribo nischay. Paramajata netaha koribo nischay. Tuva bhakti anukula je je karya hoy. Bhakti anukula jata vishaya samsare. Koribo tahate rate indriye radvare. Bhakti anukula jata vishaya samsare. Koribo tahate rate indriye radvare. Tuva bhakti anukula जे जे कार्य हो सुनिबो तुम्हारा कथा जतना कोरिया देखिबो तुम्हारा धामा नयना बोरिया. Beautiful Bengal language, actually. Sweetness, you know. सुनिबो तुम्हारा कथा जतना कोरिया देखिबो तुम्हारा धामा नयना बोरिया. तुवा भक्ति अनुकूला जे जे कार्य हो तुम्हारा प्रसादे देहो कोरिबो पोषण नैवेद्य तुला से घ्राना कोरिबो ग्रहण. तुम्हारा प्रसादे देहो कोरिबो पोषण नैवेद्य तुला से घ्राना कोरिबो ग्रहण. तुवा भक्ति अनुकूला जे जे कार्य होय कारद्वार कोरिबो तुम्हारा सेवा सादा तुम्हारा वसाते स्थले बासिबो सर्वदा. कारद्वार कोरिबो तुम्हारा सेवा सादा तुम्हारा वसाते स्थले बासिबो सर्वदा. तुवा भक्ति अनुकूला जे जे कार्य हो तुम्हारा सेवाया कामा नियोगा कोरिबो तुम्हारा विद्वेषी जाने क्रोध देखाइबो. तुम्हारा सेवाया कामा नियोगा कोरिबो तुम्हारा विद्वेषी जाने क्रोध देखाइबो. तुवा भक्ति अनुकूला जे जे कार्य हो ये रूप सर्ववृत्ति आर सर्व भावा तुवा अनुकूला हो ये लघु का प्रभावा. ये रूप सर्ववृत्ति आर सर्व भावा तुवा अनुकूला हो ये लघु का प्रभाव. तुवा भक्ति अनुकूला जे जे कार्य हो तुवा भक्ति अनुकूला जाह जाह पूरी तुवा भक्ति अनुकूला बोलिता धूरी तुवा भक्त अनुकूला जाह जाह पूरी तुवा भक्ति अनुकूला बोलिता धूरी भक्ति विनोदा नाही जाने धर्मा धर्म भक्ति अनुकूला तारा हाउ सब कर्मा भक्ति विनोदा नाही जाने धर्मा धर्मा भक्ति अनुकूला तारा हाउ सब कर्मा तुवा भक्ति अनुकूला जे जे कार्य हो परमा नेता करिब निश्चय हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So beautiful song. Thank you for the opportunity. So before 1 minute, I am requesting 1 more minute with all of you. Only 7 devotees there, no problem. Only one request. What is that? Nectar of instruction, you know. Nectar of instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami is giving direction. What exactly needs to be. You know, how to approach a guru and who is the guru. This is the eligibility of guru. Controlling his senses. Second one talks about Shadbir Bhaktir Vinashyati. Non-favorable to devotional service. 6 non-favorable for the devotional service. Bhaktivinoda Thakur mood also under the lines in line with Rupa Goswami. Shadbir Bhakti Prasiddhati, Nectar of Instruction 3. That means favorable devotional service. 6 favorable devotional service, 6 non-favorable devotional service, Guru's eligibility, and ultimately, what is the 4th one? Loving exchanges between devotees. Loving Shadvidam Priti Lakshanam. 6 loving exchanges between devotees. So how much beautiful process we are in? So fortunate, right? We just have to implement all this in our devotion. Our life will become successful. Krishna is always there. Okay. Thank you so much. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur appearance day ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Lilamritam ki jai. Bhakti Shastri students ki jai. Hitai Gaur Hari Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vancha Kalpascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Ananta Kodi Vishnu. Thank you so much. See you all tomorrow.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Jai Jai.